Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. This is your host, MagMongoSlade. Today we're going to talk about AEW Dynamite from November the 17th, 2021, which features Bryan Danielson turning heel. Well, apparently he did in the first segment. Hangman Page is out there to celebrate winning the AEW World title. He's out there with all his jobber friends. And it looks like the Burger King Kids Club. And it's really sad and stupid. Things get infinitely better, though, as Bryan Danielson comes out there, expresses his disappointment that he's not going to be wrestling Kenny Omega, which Hangman responds, yeah, because I whipped that man's ass, and I did it in less than 30 minutes, which kind of a little bit of a burn to Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson or whatever the hell we calling him these days. Which Bryan Danielson responds that when he won the world title at WrestleMania, the crowd booed that. As if they really, whatever. In any event, they booed that and then he said, I was ready to wrestle the next night. And here you are taking the night off, essentially. And Hangman Page said, oh, you want to have the match tonight? All right, I'm willing to do it. And Bryan Danielson was like, well, no. He says that all this time he's been hearing all these excuses for Hangman Page. And he doesn't want to give him another one. He doesn't want to hear that he wasn't ready. So now he's not going to wrestle him tonight. So they chibber jabber back at each other a little bit. They get into a little bit of a scrum, to which Bryan Danielson actually bails. He actually flees the fight. And he's yelling into the mic, hey, if you wouldn't let your friends hold you back if you really wanted to fight. And then the Dark Order let him go, and Hangman Page tries to fight him again. This is when Bryan Danielson bails outside the ring. This was a very intriguing angle. It was made easier because the audience is just willing to go with whatever the company is willing to do, and that's a big part of the issue that you have with AEW is that the audience, because they think everything is awesome, they just go with everything. Like, think about it. Bryan Danielson was reintroduced as one of the biggest baby faces in this company. And I get that you want to make sure that Hangman Page is over as a baby face. And in doing so, what you don't want to do is you don't want to put him in the ring with another baby face. That's very smart, which is why Danielson shouldn't have been the first opponent. It should have been Adam Cole. Or it should have been somebody else. But having Danielson be the guy that's going to turn heel, even if it's just temporary, because people have said, oh, it's going to be temporary. Even if that was the case, you are not doing yourself any favors in this situation. Putting him against Danielson, specifically because we know the match is not going to be off for a while, especially since they set this storyline in motion where Bryan Danielson has promised he's going to kick every member of the Dark Order in the head. He's going to kick all their heads off until Hangman gives him the match. Which, of course, begs the question, why wouldn't Hangman just fight him next week? Why wouldn't Hangman just fight him in 2 weeks? You can give him 2 weeks' notice, but, we got to let the story play out. So he's going to end up wrestling every member of the Dark Order, which is going to be a continuous run of matches that mean absolutely nothing. And that's not going to be worth watching. And just wrestling matches for the sake of wrestling matches with some vague hint of a story. But there is no date. So it's not like, oh, yeah, we're going to wrestle on January the 19th or something like that. And he's like, okay, January 19th, you got a month to prepare, 2 months to prepare. All right, so since you want to set up, that's the date, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to wrestle every member of the Dark Order. I'm going to brutalize them until January 19th. And that would be better than what they did. Now it's a vague, unconfirmed date. But what is confirmed is that Bryan Danielson will be wrestling every member of the Dark Order. I don't think the heel turn was the right idea. Danielson, it's not about Danielson getting it over. He can get over anything. And the fans will let him because the fans are playing their role as fans. When it comes to AEW, the fans are more than happy to just play along. They'll cheer whoever they're supposed to cheer. They'll boo whoever they're supposed to boo. And that's just kind of how it is. And everybody gets a huge reaction as if they're the biggest star in the world. It's not realistic. It's very much a minutia of the wrestling audience and of like the general audience, with the exception of Cody. I guess Cody would be like the one exception of somebody that the company wants you to cheer, but you end up booing. But then again, Cody also has been very heelish for a long time. The Cody thing is interesting. Let's talk about Cody for a moment, because he wasn't on this show, but this Bryan Danielson heel turn was very interesting, because there was a time there around when he was the TNT champion, actually, when Cody, I was asking the question, why is Cody turning heel in these matches? He would do something like wrestle a guy like Jungle Boy, and it'll be babyface versus babyface, and then he'll wrestle Sonny Kiss or something like that and work heel, and you'll be like, what is going on? And then he'll give you some bullshit like, baby faces and heels don't matter or something like that. And now, and people were cheering him when he was doing that. And I was like, why are people chilling this guy? He's doing heel stuff. And they're like, oh, baby faces and heels, they don't matter. And now they want him to turn heel, even though they completely bought into the baby face and heel stuff don't matter. It's like you can't. That's the thing about drinking the Kool-Aid. You have to know what the flavor is. If the guy says it's blueberry, then it can't both be blueberry and raspberry at the same time. You can't have wins and losses matter and the rankings matter, and yet guys can come from nowhere and get title shots. We'll talk about that in a moment too. And you can't have that baby faces and heels are outdated and don't work, and yet MJF is the best heel in the world, and all these other guys are really good baby faces. It's like, look, either they're not baby faces and heels in this company, or there are. Either there are rankings in this company, you have to earn title shots, or you don't. Like, how do you can't have both? I am rejecting your deposit to have both. It doesn't make sense. But the heel turn, back to the heel turn with Bryan Danielson, I didn't like it because I feel like you should give Danielson the match with Hangman when Hangman is more developed and when he's more ready in that role. I think putting him in that spot so soon is ultimately going to end up undercutting him. Even if he wins, you can, he's going to turn Danielson into a heel or whatever. Yeah, that's great. But again, mainstream audience is not looking at Hangman Page as some sympathetic babyface. They're looking at him as a guy that they don't know, wrestling a guy that they do know, and they're going to be like, either give me the guy that I do know, or I'm not going to watch this shit. So you have to make a decision. And I don't see the benefits to AEW with Bryan Danielson being a heel. But he's actually trying, I'll give him credit for that. He's trying to do something. He's trying to do something fresh. He came into the company with no real personality, no real anything. He played the backseat for a long time, and now he's going to be in a central feud for the title. And the champion is a babyface, newly crowned champion too. So it makes sense that he would want to come in there and say, hey, look, I don't want to, kill this guy's heat. I don't want to split the audience. Let's do the right thing. Let's do the right thing for the business, which is I'll turn heel. And knowing that he's Bryan Danielson and it really cost him nothing, he could turn right back next week and it'll be okay. Because the audience is that pliable when it comes to AEW. And it can work. It can be temporary. It can be for the length of this feud. The problem I have with this is Danielson's first loss should not be to Adam Page. It should be to the world champion. It's like, no. And it shouldn't be Adam Page's first feud. You should give him somebody that is formidable, but not somebody who is, who should be a lead pipe lock to be the world champion. Because then you're telling me essentially at this point that Hangman Page is going to beat Bryan Danielson, and at that point I'm kind of like, all right, what is the purpose of Danielson then? To just have good matches on this card, to be the undercard good match guy? That's fucking sucks. I'm sorry. It may be great for him because he probably might not want the responsibility of being the face of the company and being world champion and everything. But I have zero fucking interest in watching him wrestle John Silver and Allen Angels and all. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff. And I'm the average Joe Walmart shopper. I don't give a fuck about any of that stuff, and most of the other people don't either. Like, it's almost like these people live in a bubble. It's like somebody needs to pop that bubble and say, hey, you should put Danielson in matches that matter, where he can actually elevate somebody. If you're going to have Danielson wrestling on this show, he should be wrestling in guys for him to elevate, which Hangman Page is one of those guys, So if you wanted to say, look, if you can't complain about him wrestling Allen Five Angels and him wrestling Hangman Page. I say, well, yes, I can. Because I can accept him wrestling Hangman because there's at least a good reason behind it. The world title is there. But there is no reason ever he needs to be in the same ring with Evil Uno. Why would they ever be in the same building, let alone in the same ring? It diminishes Bryan Danielson to be in business with these people long term. Because the Dark Order are not a draw. They're not interesting. So why would Bryan Danielson be doing long-term business with these people? And long-term business being over a month. Like, if you want to have a throwaway match because he's coming back from injury or something like that, fine. But talking about he's going to wrestle every member of the Dark Order, you're like, come on. It's like 10 of those guys. So you trying to tell me, like, Danielson is not wrestling for Hangman for like 10 weeks? So if I was interested in that angle, let's say, that I could just check out now. Oh, so you telling me Bryan Danielson is going to wrestle every member of the Lollipop Guild for the next 10 weeks. So guess what? I'll come back on week 9. I'll come back on week 8. If you tell me right now he's going to end up wrestling one-on-one with fucking 5 or whatever his name is, 10, Preston Vance or whatever, then guess what? Count me out. I'll come back later. If I'm the average Walmart shopper, I'm not watching this shit. You're telling me that you're taking somebody that I like and not doing anything with them for 10 weeks or whatever. That's not what you want to tell people. Because guess what? The average Joe don't give a fuck about cold matches or Dark Order matches with him versus Ryan. How about call him Ryan Reynolds? Alex Reynolds. They don't care. I really want AEW to, and this is an opportunity here. You got a huge star in Bryan Danielson, who's still pretty hot, and he has diminished quite a bit due to the overexposure of him wrestling on every show in the first match against just about anybody. But he's still a pretty big star who, again, you put his face on posters, you put his face on the media, everybody knows who he is. Nice guy, great guy, our Lord and Savior Bryan Danielson. But you diminish him by continually putting him in the ring with bums. It just does not look good. It doesn't do his resume any good because we know who he is. You don't need to build Bryan Danielson. It's like, hey, we signed this guy. His name is Stone Cold Steve Austin, but we have to prove he has to prove himself to our roster. So you have to get in there and we're like, come on the fuck out of here. What are you talking about? This guy is the man. You don't have him prove himself in stupid ass matches. You put him in matches against top guys, sure. Based off of his name value. You put him in top guys with matches. That's fine. But you don't have him wrestling the dregs of the fucking company. You don't have him doing that. This ain't, unless you want Dynamite to come across as WWF superstars, then continue doing what you're doing. But I don't think it's smart. I think you should save up. Even if you say, like, okay, well, there's going to be certain members of the Dark Order who are going to feel like, disrespected that Bryan Danielson is doing these horrible things, and he's mocking Evil Uno, and he's mocking all of these guys, and they take offense and they want to fight him. All right, cool. You can pick one or two of those guys for Danielson to beat up in random matches. But for the most part, we should be on point trying to build the world title match and not given Danielson a reason to wrestle the Dark Order. And then trying to dress it up as being a big deal. And then you're telling me also that, Danielson is more likely to lose to Hangman Page than he is to beat him. Because Hangman Page is a newly crowned babyface champion. So it doesn't seem to make much sense to me. His whole angle is kind of botched already. It's like a Home Alone trap. Like you push the door open and a goddamn gallon of water a poison Jim Jones Kool-Aid fell all over your head. It was a nice try, though. I'll give him some credit. At least it was fresh. It's a fresh idea. I hope it works. I'm going to give it an opportunity. I'm going to give it a chance. But like I said, my first thought was, I don't care about the Dark Order. I hate the Dark Order. And here's the thing about the Dark Order. It's not like people out of nowhere started disliking the Dark Order. People have not liked the Dark Order the entire time they have been in existence on AEW. There has never been a time when the Dark Order was cool. Oh, but Brody Lee. People said that Brody Lee being in the Dark Order was a waste of time. People hated Brody Lee in the Dark Order. Only the hardest of the hardcores cared about Brody Lee being in the Dark Order. Everybody else thought it was either a mixture of this is stupid and this is absolutely bottom tier fake Bray Wyatt stuff. I know that he's dead now, and we're supposed to lionize the dead. I'm not saying that he was a bad performer, even though I didn't really care for what he was doing at the time. But we're talking about the Dark Order. It was a lame duck when they debuted. It's still a lame duck stable filled with comedy jobbers. I don't want to watch Bryan Danielson wrestle comedy jobbers, even if he's going to kill them. I don't care. I do not care enough about these guys for me to want to watch Bryan Danielson kill these guys. Nor is it going to garner any sympathy from me, because all these guys are walking head first into the lion's mouth. If you want to set it up like Spartacus, and Bryan Danielson is just pacing the sand, and all of these idiots have just seen all these bodies get chopped up behind them, and they just like, maybe I can be the one. It's like, who the fuck are you? You're like what? Who is this guy? I can be the one that can beat Bryan Danielson. I'm going to enter the cage and put my head in the lion's mouth. It's like, come on. After the second guy, you're pretty stupid at that point. If you're the first one, maybe you're ignorant, you're naive, you think you can take him. But after you like the second or the third guy, like, come on, you're just fucking stupid at this point. I mean, even common sense guys have a hierarchy. You got to be like, okay, well, if there's 9 of us, 2 of us are probably pretty good. 2 of us are probably pretty badass. If, these 2 guys can probably take them. They're the best of the bunch. Everybody's just going to be stupid and put their head in the lion's mouth. That's just nonsense. Fuck out of here. I don't buy this. And now we're going to have to watch, Bryan Danielson wrestle Colt Cabana, which got the spurs jingling and jangling of every indie dweeb from 2008 or whatever. Because modern nostalgia is just like all kinds of other kinds of nostalgia. Just because it was more recent doesn't mean it's less nostalgia. Whatever. MJF cut a great promo talking about himself and how great a pro wrestler he is, and how people think that all he does is talk on the mic, when in reality he can do it all. He checks all the boxes. Then he cuts another promo later, a live promo in the ring, where he essentially says that he's the best in the world, he's better than everyone else, and then CM Punk comes out there. But before we get into the CM Punk thing, I want to take note to what he said earlier. He says that he's going to start a bidding war in 2024. Apparently that's when his contract is up. I looked at my watch, I looked at my calendar, and I Googled it, and I said 2024, buddy, that's 3 years away. That's 3 years away. A lot can change in 3 years. You you think, I mean, that's a guy, that's some confidence, bro. You think you're going to increase in value in 3 years? I don't know. I don't know about that. I hope it's true. He'll only be like 27 or 28. But, barring any real injury, I wouldn't put that out there. That's all I'm saying. But it's interesting he has that kind of confidence. I love MJF for having that confidence. He talked about taking a cowboy shit on Adam Page's title reigns. But, the rankings are on his side. And that's what he's pissed about. Because he doesn't think the rankings are fair. And nobody's on his level. CM Punk comes out there. Everybody, they give it a little tease. Punk didn't say anything. He just sized up MJF and turned around and walked away. And sometimes that's all you really need. He just came in there, looked him up and down, was like, all right, whatever you say, and then left. Completely commanded the scene when he came out there, and everybody was itching to see what he was going to say and what he was going to do. But he pulled a Jericho. Remember when Jericho used to go out there and he smile at the audience and look around, and then he just turn around and walk away? He wouldn't say anything, wouldn't do anything. If CM Punk does that a couple of times, I think that would be pretty interesting. Because I think that would piss off MJF. Because he'd just be interrupting him just to, size him up. See how he handles interruption. See whether he really believes what he says he is. Or if it's just bluster. But I do know it's made a lot of people's pants sticky that CM Punk and MJF are finally going to feud. And I was just kind of like, all right, this is interesting. There's another interesting angle that they're pulling out here. Considering, but at the same time, I'm like, there's so much unfinished business between CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. There's a lot of unfinished business there. And AEW, for all of the stuff that they're claiming that, we're not burning through storylines, we're not burning through angles or whatever, they absolutely are burning through storylines and burning through angles. There was more meat on the bone for CM Punk and Darby Allin. There was more meat on the bone for CM Punk and Team Taz. There was more meat on the bone for CM Punk and Eddie Kingston. That could have got you 6 to 8 months of storylines, just those three angles. If they'd have been dueling promos, guys getting attacked, a match, then maybe a rematch a little bit later on, then the next guy steps up. And you could still have CM Punk wrestle other guys. But you could have gotten some real juice out of the CM Punk Team Taz thing. Where, sure, he beat Hobbs. But, we could say, oh, it was lucky. He can't beat him again. No man has ever beat Willie Hobbs twice. And then CM Punk tries to dodge it. Him getting into this verbal war with Starks. And, him threatening to beat up Hook and all this kind of stuff. You could have been doing weeks and weeks of that stuff. And it could have been interesting. And it could have been fun. But instead, they did one match with Willie Hobbs, and that was it. It's like you're burning through this stuff very, very fast. And CM Punk and MJF is the one thing that a lot of people really wanted. They wanted it so badly. And it's like, okay, it's a smash glass in case of emergency. So now they're smashing the glass. They're like, okay, ratings got down to the point where we gotta do this. Furthermore, they're hitting Chicago again. This is like the 6th trip to Chicago they've had this year. And they haven't been on tour all year yet. And they've hit Chicago and Philadelphia a bunch of times already. So they're going back to Chicago, which means that was probably where they're going to do CM Punk and MJF, their hook for their angle. This was just a tease. This is just to let you know that's the direction that they're going in. I think it was very effective. CM Punk just coming out there, sizing up MJF and leaving. Got the right reaction from the crowd because it was completely, CM Punk dismissing MJF as MJF is out there tooting his own horn. And CM Punk just comes out there, commands the crowd, looks him up and down and leaves. Takes all of his thunder, really shows him up. And it's a fun angle. It was really fun. It's a nice little teaser. So I'm interested in what MJF has to say now, because now he's been disrespected. He's going to have to respond. And that ought to be fun. That ought to be really fun. So I preferred this angle over the Danielson heel turn. And seemingly, we're back to CM Punk being a babyface. He was playing heel for a cup of coffee to try to help get over Eddie Kingston. Because, the crowd just plays their part and Eddie Kingston's a sympathetic babyface and, whatever. So all that stuff with Eddie Kingston is gone. It's over. Apparently Eddie Kingston just wanted to have a match with CM Punk and that was it. The whole thing about retribution and making him pay for disrespecting him 15 years ago. Well, I guess a GTS cleared all that up. That's typically what happens. When you have a feud to where you beat somebody bloody, is you get hit with their finish and all of a sudden it's over. No blow off match. I guess the match itself was the blow off match, And I'm sure they'll revisit it in 18 months and they'll be like, long form storytelling. In any event, what is Eddie Kingston doing? Well, Eddie Kingston is dealing with 2.0, where he told Daniel Garcia he doesn't respect him because 2.0 called him his son. He's like, you're a grown man. Like, Daniel Garcia is 22. He's like 23 or something like that. Well, I guess technically he is a grown man, but he's still kind of a kid. And Eddie Kingston was like, I don't respect you for that. You let these, you're a grown man. You let these guys call you that son. I don't respect you for that. And Daniel Garcia started barking and got in his face, saying he's from Buffalo and all that kind of stuff. He's like, you from Buffalo? I'm from Yonkers. You know what this means. And they got nose to nose, and Kingston pie-faced them, which I think is some of the most disrespectful stuff you could do to another human being, is just completely pie-faced them that way. That led to the big separation between the two. And Eddie Kingston says like he just wanted to cut a promo without being interrupted. That's all he ever wanted. He just wanted to cut a promo without being interrupted. And now he's going to go to catering because now he's got to fight this kid. And so Daniel Garcia is going to wrestle Eddie Kingston. And so match Eddie Kingston can win. He should win this match, right? I'm not sure anymore. But he should be able to win this match. Look, I don't have no problem with Daniel Garcia other than the fact that he doesn't have personality whatsoever. But I think Eddie Kingston going from wrestling CM Punk 1 minute to wrestling Scratch My Chin Daniel Garcia the next, big step down. Just like Bryan Danielson. It's like, oh yeah, we want to have you wrestle Hangman Page, but first, you gotta wrestle Evil Uno. I'm like, ugh, yikes. Get it off me. Okay, so we had another match, Butcher and the Blade versus Tomohiro Ishii and Orange Cassidy. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people who are very excited to see Tomohiro Ishii, but I promise you I don't care. I couldn't care less. He is absolute trash. He is a human tree stump. And I know some people, he doesn't need any flash. He's a big, tough guy. He's like, Ishii is so boring. Fuck. He is so boring. And he didn't come out to his New Japan music. He came out to the Orange Cassidy theme song. And he was wrestling the Butcher and the Blade. I think almost most of the organs in my body shut down. And because I tried not to die watching this bullshit ass match. I did not want to see this. And then it was on for so long. And then people were reacting as if this was the best match they had ever seen in their lives. It's like, this feels like a paid audience. Like, I know it's not a paid audience, but it feels like, a laugh track to a bad TV show. You're like, huh? Like Big Bang Theory or something like that. Like it's, it just feels like terrible. Like the fans just, clap because they're supposed to clap and cheer because they're supposed to cheer. It's like, are you really invested in a Butcher and the Blade match? They've also, like the Dark Order, they've been a bomb since the moment they debuted. There's nothing good that they've ever done. What would really get a reaction from Butcher and the Blade? It's not honest. It's bullshit. Nobody cares about these guys. Tomohiro Ishii wins with a brain buster. I was just glad it was over. Andrade said that he proved that he was better than Cody and Pac, and that now he's going to show them his bad side. FTR said they got robbed. Wrong man got pinned. Challenged him to an X-Men tag team match, to which everyone agreed. And Tully said he got one more ready. If Arn wants it, he got one more in the tank. I was like, all right, Tully, probably not a good idea, but you do you, man. Following that, we had Malachi Black cut a promo talking about the four of us will haunt you. We will make the air you breathe toxic. So enjoy the last deep breaths while oxygen is on your side. And I said to myself, man, Malachi Black went from being really fucking cool to just another guy really fast. I'm talking really fast. Him and Andrade being attached to the hip. Now they're doing 6-man tags and 8-man tags and stuff together. This is not good. This ain't good. This ain't good. Malachi Black needs to be doing something else. This ain't good. See, If you were searching for an opponent for Hangman, dun 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 dun, Malachi Black, dun 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 dun, Andrade, dun dun. If you'd have built these guys up properly, they could have been ready, and you wouldn't have needed to turn one of your top baby faces heel. Correct? Correct. You had these guys as heels already. Miro is another one. If you hadn't, somebody's got to take Jon Moxley's spot. Okay, you have the entire roster at your fingertips. And it probably could have been, well, Morankin's this and Morankin's that. It's no, but nobody would have cared, man. It's a last minute decision. All you gotta do is be like, we're gonna throw somebody in there, and you could have even put Orange Cassidy in there if you wanted to, or whatever the case may be, just to get through the tournament. Because the person who's winning the tournament isn't going to rehab, so it didn't matter who he beats. Just get a pay-per-view match out there, as long as it wasn't like some Dark Order goof, and somebody with some level of credibility, and you save some of the other guys, the Andrades and the Malachi Blacks, you save them to wrestle Hangman. Danielson is a guy that you really should want to build up to your biggest pay-per-view event. And it should have been, he's got unfinished business with Kenny Omega, and he's going to finish that business first. Even though he's the number one contender now, he's going to finish that business first. And then he's going to come back and win that world title. Meanwhile, some, other people have, done their thing, and now they're top contenders because they were undefeated for so long or something like that. And they're going to wrestle Hangman, or Hangman's got to go through them first. And as a way of establishing himself as a champion, he collects some first wins. He first guy who beat Malachi Black clean. First guy who beat Andrade or something like that. And we're building up to, he might be the first guy to beat CM Punk, might be the first guy to beat Bryan Danielson, who knows? But they didn't do that. Whatever. Instead, Malachi Black is teaming up with Andrade and FTR. Okay, so Ty Conti said she doesn't lose. Even when she loses, she wins, and she's not starting from scratch next time. I was like, whatever. Britt Baker says she's tired of carrying in this division, and she wants to focus on Jamie Hayter winning the TBS title. Then they mentioned that her opponent would be Thunder Rosa. Jamie Hayter's opponent would be Thunder Rosa, and Britt Baker is still got PTSD from the match she had with Thunder Rosa. And she's like, y'all don't want to hear that name. You don't say that name on Brit TV. Or DMD TV, she said. To which they still said Thunder Rosa again and said her time is up. Clearly Thunder Rosa is going to win that match. You want to see something awful? Watch Nyla Rose defeat Hikaru Shida by submission, and there that go. If you want to sink further into depression, realize both of these people had 50 wins, which means that there is at least 50 Nyla Rose matches that has taken place in the year of our good Lord Jesus, 2021. What on earth? Why would you ever book Nyla Rose 50 times? On a positive note, Vicky Guerrero got caned, which, probably was a long time coming. Darby Allin said that MJF did not break him mentally, and that somehow, some way, he's going to get a rematch. But until then, he's not taking any time off. He wants the biggest and the baddest. And then Billy Gunn shows up. And I was like, Billy Gunn still works there? And he challenged Darby Allin. And Darby Allin was like, okay, cool. I'll fight you. Sure. Whatever you say, bro. And I'm just kind of like, this is not good. Okay. Billy Gunn. Whatever. Whatever. Adam Cole, baby, said that he's sick of Jungle Boy and he's sick of Jurassic Express and all of these guys and Christian Cage. He's sick of all of them. And that it was the worst night of his career when the Young Bucks caught that concerto. That sucked so bad. And the Young Bucks were like, you tried to take our lives. That was our lives you tried to take. You tried to kill us. You tried to kill me. Like, that was so not cool, man. That was so not kosher. You're definitely not getting a Christmas card. Then, all of a sudden, Adam Cole said he's going to team up with his good buddy Bobby Fish to take on Jurassic Express. Then Jurassic Bobby Fish came out there and said that they're going to win, and that part is undie. And you can't say that here. Can't say that here. We can cut that out. We can cut that out, please. And okay. So Bobby Fish and Adam Cole versus Jurassic Express, and look, they've dumped ice water on Adam Cole. I cannot, even with Bobby Fish being brought in, even with the threat of Kyle O'Reilly coming in, even with the possibility of them having all of Undisputed Era, I can tell you from the way I'm looking at AEW, it will not matter. Outside of the 6-man tags they're going to have, who is going to give a shit? You can't just hire guys to have one match. Like, that's what they did to FTR. They hired FTR for years just so they can have the one match with the Young Bucks. And then after that, they've been doing nothing. It's like, oh, we want to have the Undisputed Era versus the Elite. It's like, yeah, sure, that's great. Then what's your second act? You have to book beyond dream matches. In any event, this was all awful. Adam Cole was not doing it. He's stuck in a morass of Jungle Boy and all this stuff. And Christian cut a promo later, talked about how rewarding it was for him to see Jungle Boy smash him in the head, smash these guys in the head with chairs. And Jungle Boy says, "Oh, the stubble may be off of my face, but the change in my heart is here to stay, and I'll eat thumbtacks for breakfast if I have to." And I'm like, that's not what you want from Jungle Boy. I just did a video when I talked about ranking the 4 pillars of AEW, and I talked about Jungle Boy. And one of the things that came to me after I recorded the video is that Jungle Boy is a Ricky Morton babyface. Like I said, he is a babyface in the same vein as, a member of the Rock and Roll Express or a member of the Fantastics, like Bobby Fulton or Tommy Rogers or something like that. He's a fiery, young, undersized babyface. You don't start trying to turn him into a tough guy. He's a Teen Beat magazine guy. He's good looking. He's young. The girls will really like him. You don't put him in you put him in situations where he feels sympathetic, not while he's trying to be a badass. You don't really do that. Him being a badass comes from him standing up in a situation that he did not ask to be in. He wants to go out there and wrestle guys, but guys wants to fight him. They want to pull weapons. They want to beat him with stuff, and he fires up on them and like, "You want to do that? You want to cross that line? Let's go." All you gotta do is study Devon Eriks. Tell him to go study Devon Eriks. Go, go study Devon Eriks. Go study Kevin and Kerry and David. They'll show you how to be good heartthrob guys, good natured guys. Don't necessarily need a hell of a lot of charisma. Don't need to have a hell of a lot of personality or be an excellent or over the top promo. But you got to be somebody that people feel bad for when they see you getting beat up. And Jungle Boy has that kind of appeal. You got this guy talking about eating thumbtacks. It's like, come on. We don't believe that. I don't believe that. You're not fucking Sabu all of a sudden, okay? That's not going to work. You're not Cactus Jack. So let's, continue on with heartthrob, Jungle Boy. That's what we should be doing. Jungle Boy should have said something like, you guys took me to a place I didn't think I would ever go. I didn't like doing that stuff. That's not what I'm here to do. But if you're willing to take it there, I'm willing to go there with you. And that should have been as far as he went. With him trying to, be fucking Road Warrior Animal, World Warrior Hawk, we snack on danger, we dine on death. It's like, come on. Fuck out of here. You run with a dinosaur. Your friend is a dinosaur. Both of your friends are dinosaurs. No, nobody believes this. This sucks. But Jungle Boy actually was forced to cut a promo here. It's a start. It's a start. He's gonna keep him doing it. Keep doing it until he gets it right. Keep feeding them promos until he gets comfortable cutting promos. You gotta keep doing it. This is why they had a performance center. Go make him do shit. He should be cutting promos in the mirror. And that's the thing about improvement. And this is why WWE is kind of so cutthroat. Because when I took, speech courses and stuff like that, they would always say, you don't need to practice in front of people. Like, you don't have to sit like your mom and cousins and stuff down and then do a full speech in front of them. You can do a full speech in the mirror, just talk to the mirror and give your full speech. And it was almost ruthless. Like, they could tell if you did not practice at all. And look, you don't have to write down everything you say, but you have to, at some ways, have at least build up your confidence in speaking in public. And Jungle Boy should be at least at home in the mirror, cutting promos to himself. At the very least, practicing his promos, workshopping his promos with people who are good at it. He's got all the time in the world. He's had 2 years already of being on national television. All of these guys who can't cut promos, it is simply put, Tony Khan avoids them cutting promos. Therefore, they never learn. And then they don't feel like they have to. But like I said, nothing gets you correct. Nothing gets you tight like embarrassment. I've done some really bad speeches. And when you do a couple of bad speeches and you stumble your words and you forget where you are and what you're trying to do is the worst is when you're talking and then the trons or whatever is not working. So now you have to try to remember what you what you had a PowerPoint presentation for, and now you got to try to do it from memory or do it from note cards. It's embarrassing. Yeah, it's embarrassing, and it's makes people nervous. But that's why it's a skill you absolutely need to develop. If you're going to be watched by millions of people, you got any idea of millions of people watching this show, or at least a couple dozen thousand, then yeah, you need to be able to give them something. You need to be able to talk, And the fact that Jungle Boy and all these guys are not getting any better shows that they are not being forced in any capacity to work on it. And they're doing pre-tape promos. I'm pretty sure this was a pre-tape promo, and it still wasn't all that good. So I'm telling you, man, I see why Vince cuts guys. I really do. They showed a Jade Cargill Red Velvet clip. I couldn't care less. So the main event of the show was Jay Lethal versus Sammy Guevara for the TNT Championship. So Sammy Guevara wins the match, which, I'm not surprised that he won. I'm just surprised that they spent the money to get Jay Lethal just to beat him in his first match. I mean, okay. They just bring guys in for matches. Again, you could have built up a storyline around Jay Lethal coming in. You could have tried to put together a faction if you want to get some more Ring of Honor guys. You could have done something different. You could have tried to rebuild the foundation in AEW. Like, that would have been fun. If they had just ported the foundation into AEW with that ready-made gimmick, and they already got gear and stuff like that, even though I don't know if that stuff is owned by Ring of Honor or not. But I don't think it would have worked anyway because Jonathan Gresham wouldn't have came. I think he's going to go win the world title in Ring of Honor, so he probably wasn't coming anyway. And I think the foundation was his idea, so in any event, so scrap that. I was just tossing stuff out there. In any event, Lethal being brought in to do a job to Sammy Guevara, it's typical AEW. But the match itself was very solid. It was probably one of the best Sammy Guevara matches because it made more sense than usual. Sammy Guevara still doesn't have much in the way of intensity or promo or look or anything, But he was in there with somebody with a substantial amount of experience who could push him to the limit, force him to sell, force him to work. I really liked the fake out where, it looked like he was going to have to stop the match because of his ribs. That was a really good fake out. They did it during commercial break too. So I was like, oh, okay, what's going on over there? And then he did the swanton off the top through the table. I was like, oh, okay. They're setting it up for Sammy to lose. They're giving you every excuse in the world that Sammy is going to lose. And I was like, okay. So when Sammy loses, it's not going to be that big of a deal because he's a baby face and he tried to go overboard and looking into the camera talking about, I'm crazy. It's like, not if you can recognize it. Most crazy motherfuckers that I've ever seen didn't even know they were crazy. They just were crazy. They didn't just like, I'm crazy, man. You know karate. I know crazy. That's not how crazy people act. Crazy people think that you're crazy. And that's the wildest thing. You ever talk to a schizophrenic who's like, you didn't hear that? What the fuck is wrong with your ears? You're like, wait a minute, bro. You the one hallucinating, not me. In any event, they gave you all these good reasons why Sammy Guevara would lose the match. And then I kind of got the feeling he would win. And I can tell you that I enjoyed this match because there is the down moments where you can tell that they put the danger in there. They put Sammy Guevara in the hole and made him dig himself out. But this one I knew Sammy Guevara would win. When Jay Lethal did that Hail to the King flying elbow drop that he does, that's based off of Randy Savage. And it looks so piss poor. I was like, his form is absolutely awful. This is terrible. It's worse than CM Punk's elbow drop. And I've seen Jay Lethal do this elbow drop 100,000 times. His form is not that bad. When he was in the air doing his elbow drop that horrible, and then Sammy Guevara caught it and rolled him up, I was like, okay, Sammy's going to win. All this stuff that they're doing before, Sammy's going to win the match. And of course, he ended up winning. And I hate Sammy Guevara's finisher because he should not be flipping people. He's small. Why is he picking people up and flipping them into his knee? Whatever. In any event, Sammy Guevara wins, and this match was actually pretty good. You could tell Jay Lethal was leading it. He did a hell of a job with Sammy Guevara. They shook hands afterwards. Inner Circle came down there to celebrate with him, and that takes us off the air. So all in all, this show really centered a lot of older talent. Jay Lethal worked the main event. Bryan Danielson worked the first match. Those guys are peers from Ring of Honor, even though they're kind of years apart. I think they might be 3 years apart in age. They're kind of peers as far as they worked in Ring of Honor at the same time. CM Punk, I think, also worked there briefly with Jay Lethal and all of those guys. It's just a big old Ring of Honor reunion going on in AEW. So Ring of Honor isn't dead after all. I mean, honor is real. Honor is forever. They're just hanging out in AEW now, doing everything that they was doing before. Adam Cole was there with those guys too. So were the Young Bucks. So was Kenny Omega. I mean, it's just one big old 2008 Ring of Honor reunion. Hey, and once Kevin Steen shows up, and it'll be they'll be very close to having a full deck. And you import Ring of Honor, you get Ring of Honor interest. People are going to be like, oh, okay, Again, think about it 5 years from now. What's going to happen? 5 years. 5 years, all of these guys will be in their early to mid-40s. In any event, I forgot to talk about the Dante Martin and Lio Rush versus the Acclaimed. And I forgot about this because I hated it so much. The rap was awful. I'm just tired of raps. For starters, the Acclaimed rap to the same beat every week. And it really didn't occur to me till this week. I do like the beat to the song. But at the same time, it's the same beat every week. It's awful. This is terrible. Second, the rap sucked. There was some shit about Dante need to put some bass in his voice and that Lio Rush should be a manager. Those are not sick burns, dog. Those are not burns. Lio Rush should be a manager is a widely accepted opinion. That's like saying Bobby Heenan should be a manager. Sure, Lio Rush is a great manager. He can cut a hell of a promo. The guys also moves like grease lightning. And that's pretty much what this match was Dante and Lio running around in circles and the Acclaimed looking like absolute goofs trying to catch these two running chickens. These guys were it's like the movie Rocky, where Rocky is chasing those chickens. That's kind of how Anthony Bowens was chasing around Dante Martin and Lio Rush in this match. He was like, which way did he go? 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 And it's like, man, these guys just literally running circles around him. They're doing Barry Sanders jukes and spinning off this guy. This is not a wrestling match. What is this? It's like Elmer Fudd trying to catch Bugs Bunny with a net. This is stupid. Of course, the Acclaim take the loss in spectacular fashion. Dante Martin and Leo Rush could possibly be a good tag team. It's just their penchant for moving very fast, and a lot of this stuff is completely forgettable. That's why I forgot this match even happened. I had to look at my notes again. So Team Taz appeared, and they gave the pitch directly to Dante Martin this time. Taz offered his condolences to Leo Rush and his grandma, who had, I guess, passed away or got sick, or I forget. I think she passed away. We here at 3 Count Commentaries also offer our condolences to Leo Rush in this very difficult time. In any event, he said it was disrespectful for them to pitch to Dante Martin when he wasn't around, so they did it again right in front of him. And so Ricky Starks said that, oh yeah, you could have a Hall of Fame career. Look what we did for Willie Hobbs. Will Hobbs, it's been a year since he was in Team Taz. Look at where he is now. He's doing great things. And I sat here and I was like, Willie Hobbs doing great things with Team Taz? What the fuck has he done? Except do the job to CM Punk. What else has he done? Like that, instead of really getting over how Team Taz could be cool, that just made me realize how depressing Team Taz is. Like, that shit is depressing. Everybody who joined Team Taz is less over than they were before. Ricky Starks was actually fucking cool and people actually liked him. Then he started joining Team Taz and messing around with them, and now he's actually less interesting and he's less on television than he ever was before. You know? Same can be said for Willie Hobbs. Now, sure, they changed his name to Powerhouse Hobbs. That's the only thing they really did for him. And let him get on TV. But he still don't cut promos, and he still don't really work any type of big matches. Anytime he does work a big match, he loses. This sucks. Team Taz does not have the good reputation. And it seemed like they just tried to recruit a guy not too long ago who didn't want to be recruited. And he kicked their asses. And now this is happening again. It's like, okay, we're just going to recycle storylines. And you got so many guys coming out here saying, hey, join my stable. I'll give you a sign-in bonus. Hey, join my stable. You got a bright future. It's all just so contrived and silly. You literally got 4 guys doing this same gimmick. You know, Matt Hardy's doing the same thing. Taz doing the same thing. And it's just like, come on. You know, enough. Enough is enough of this horse shit. Break up Team Taz, man. You know, let Starks and Hobbs be a tag team. You know, like the modern day Power and Glory. And let them run, man. I would love that. They don't need Taz. What they need Taz for? Starks can talk. So let Starks do the talking. Let Hobbs do the menacing. And if you gotta have Hook. Hook needs a job. He can carry the bags, keep their coffee warm or something. I don't know. What the fuck does he do anyway? Does he wrestle? Does he sing? What the fuck did he do? Did he play the drums? Did he do anything other than just stand there with his well coiffed hair? I don't know. He got a cool name though. Hook is a cool name, but he's not cool. He just looks like a bully from an American Pie or something like that. And Team Taz can go fuck off. Okay, so there is a lot of talent on AEW's roster. Not really a big fan of how they're choosing to use them, but they did some interesting things with CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. That's good enough. Good to see Jay Lethal. He worked his ass off in there with Sammy Guevara. Sammy Guevara, listened, followed directions, did a good job. That was the best match I've seen Sammy Guevara in a long time. That was the match on the best match on the show. The only match on the show I was interested in, really. MJF cut a hell of a promo. He's really good at cutting promos, especially the one he did supposedly after his match at Full Gear. It was really good. Hangman Page didn't have much to say, but he's a babyface. What he's really going to say, outside of thank you guys. You guys are my bosses. You guys are. I love you guys. But Bryan Danielson came out there and cut him to shreds. It was a good promo, great promo actually. I'm interested in what they do with Danielson. Hopefully they don't fuck it up, but I got a feeling that they will. And, there's some potential here. So let's see where it goes. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Like, share, subscribe, donate. I'll talk to you guys later.